There is that beautiful recovery back into the $42,000 range. Bitcoin has shot up past some of its clear resistance that it was battling with. Obviously, it had the most important level at 40.7 here that we just sliced through like a hot knife through butter, and we are now in Bitcoin's most critical price area before potentially looking at sending this thing, why can I not draw, sending this thing much higher toward $45,000. There's really only one major problem that stands between Bitcoin and getting there, and it is the primary reason that I'm still not taking a bullish stance in this market. Of course, that is other than my extremely bullish long position that I still have open both on Bitcoin and on TRX, because naturally I haven't had a good reason to close these trades, so I won't. If the market is going to give me more money, I will take it. However, I'm certainly not opening new long positions just yet, and I'm actually more interested in opening short positions on the side of those larger long positions, because I think that we're still in a major area of resistance. Now, for me, this is going to come down to looking at metrics like the long and short ratio, the fear and greed index, which I want to take a look at both of them in this YouTube video. If we actually take a look at the long and short ratio right here very quickly, we are still astronomically high for longs, looking at 2 longs for every short right here for Binance retail traders. And if we take a look at the fear and greed index, we haven't reset by much compared to the last few days, but we are in absolutely stunning, beautiful neutral territory here with a reading of 49. So, to me, that is still good, and I think that this means that Bitcoin does have an opportunity to rise to higher levels, but at the moment, with the technical kind of factors that Bitcoin is facing, it's still going to be a difficult challenge. So let's take a look at why I think this is still going to be a problem for Bitcoin, and it boils down to some of the key indicators that I actually use as resistance, specifically the beautiful 4-hour Ichimoku cloud. Now, this is an incredibly reliable indicator for the market. It developed as support back here in October of last year, and it only really stopped being useful at the end of December. That means we've produced some really nice, consistent, predictable bounces when we got in or very, very near it, right up until the end over here, which is a really, really good success rate, and it has now flipped into resistance. Now, I'm not going to go on a sales pitch for why I love and rely, or I don't rely on anything, but why I love and use this indicator, but I have made a free video, very, very young Sammy, I believe. Actually, no, I think I made an updated video on how to get and use this indicator just like I do. It's definitely worth checking out if you're interested, and it is also part of the wider Four Flies Academy course that you're going to get for free most of the time when you join VIP, depending on what plan you take, which you can do by following these steps on screen, or very simply just looking in the description and coming down to these links and steps down here. While you are down here, please take a look at over 296k in bonuses that are available to you with the links in the description. This is absolutely phenomenal. Deepcoin is an exchange that has been around for a little bit and has actually scored some really nice volumes in these markets, but we have just started working with them very, very recently. You're going to get over $100,000 in bonuses when you start using them, including a free $100 bonus when you deposit $100 and just make one trade worth 10k, which you can do, of course, with leverage. So super, super cool. Well worth checking out. These guys are giving you aggressive bonuses to use their platform. They're willing to spend a lot of money to get your business. Please do take advantage of it while they are digging deep into their pockets. Now, if we come back to the market here, phenomenal, massive resistance here from the Ichimoku cloud. I mean, this is a big cloud. It stretches between a massive price range, and it makes perfect sense with what we were expecting. In fact, if we look at this with the VPVR to help us visualize this as well, this is, of course, only what we spoke about in the most recent video. So this is very, very fresh for those of you that are subscribed. Bitcoin has a massive block of resistance in this range. And in fact, if we go ahead and make this indicator a little bit more blunt, switching it down to a row size of 20, it is unequivocally clear that all of the volume exchange for Bitcoin happens in this price range, which means that if you're approaching it from the downside moving up, you're going to have a serious fucking problem getting above this price area. That doesn't mean that it's possible. That doesn't mean that you can't pull it off, but it does mean that it is going to be difficult. And that, I think, is an extremely important detail to be keeping in mind at this stage in this market, because we are rallying into it while we still have heavy longs in the market across retail traders. So, for me, some of these most obvious signs here that generally indicate that the market is going to be in a difficult position are showing up again. Now, there is a massive silver lining here, and it's one of the reasons that bulls, I think, have a really, really, really good kind of setup at the moment. There's two things. I've already discussed the first one with you. It's the same Ichimoku indicator on a larger time frame. If we take a look at this on the daily, look at that beautiful bounce. I love the Ichimoku cloud on the 4 hours, so you better believe I love it on the daily, and it is amazingly, amazingly reliable. We only used it for 3 attempts over here previously in 2023 as a support cloud, and it worked 66% of the time, which admittedly is not amazing, but it's certainly not terrible. And of course, when you use this only to supplement your analysis, you're not going to be relying on it blindly. And of course, when you also keep in mind that the wider the cloud is, the more reliable it is, therefore not super reliable over here, then you're going to know that, yes, you can definitely fairly reasonably expect resistance on these 2 hits, and the same over here. So it has worked. Now, the second thing, and this is what's actually much more important, is that Bitcoin has formed this kind of pattern that we're in right now many times previously. Here is a chart that I want to show you where Bitcoin has previously traded down below an area of resistance with 4-hour EMA resistance, with 4-hour Ichimoku resistance, and then pumped up. We did the very same thing the next time. This was, of course, summer of last year. So we're looking at all of this price action over here, where Bitcoin had very similar setups and produced outcomes that look similar to this right now. We kind of, I believe it was over here, pumped up beautifully. Again, I'm not quite sure where it was, but it happened again later on. And we've, it's a similar situation to what we're in right now. We broke the same indicators. We had the same horizontal resistance. Bitcoin made good work of those opportunities and managed to rise up. Here's another example that I want to show you guys. Let me just throw this up on the screen right here. Bam, take a look at this. Again, same setup. We fall below our area of horizontal support, in this case now turning into resistance. We have 4-hour EMA resistance. We have that horizontal resistance. We have 4-hour Ichimoku resistance, but we're just back up. And again, this was a very, very similar price range. This was actually where I entered my long position on Bitcoin. It was on this very candle right here. It's the same long position that I've been flexing for all this time because it's still open. So like I said, I haven't had a reason to be invalidated on that position, so I simply have not closed it. That doesn't mean I can't be bearish in the short term, of course. Those of you that struggle with nuance and understanding, probably, first of all, you haven't made it this far on any of my YouTube videos, but if you have somehow, you're going to struggle to understand this. But if you're like me, if we're able to have a decent, educated discussion about what's going on in these markets, then we can understand that the long-term perspective, if this is, by accident, a long-term trade, can be bullish, whereas the short-term perspectives can change within that. We have cycles within cycles, and that's obviously very profitable. I was going to say very important, but it's actually very profitable to understand. So that's absolutely fantastic. Very, very similar circumstances that we have painted on this chart a good few times before. Again, definitely indicating to me that Bitcoin has a potential setup now. Overall, what this is pointing to form a deviation. Okay, that's what this would potentially be here, is a deviation out of this range, and we could actually say that this range kind of, stretches between this yellow box and this yellow line. I'm going to keep this box here because I still like having the box here, but we can actually just go ahead and paint this line over here. Why can I not paint this line? Bam, right there, and then remove this one. This is basically what we're looking at, in terms of a range. We could say that it stretches kind of between these two key price levels that are 40.7 and 44.3. And so we had a deviation to the upside. We've now had a deviation to the downside, and we are ready to return to the mean, return to the average, and basically float around here for a little bit. Again, I don't think that's what we're looking at. I don't think that that's the situation we're in right now. There's good arguments that, most of the selling pressure is over. There is GBTC that was obviously selling a lot of Bitcoin. We covered that in the last video. They went from being a trust with Bitcoin, a Bitcoin trust, to now an ETF. And so naturally you can kind of settle those Bitcoins directly. And there was a discount, and now there's no discount. So there's a massive arbitrage opportunity, right? I mean, if on January 10 you can buy something for a 20% discount and January 12 the price equalizes, you've made a massive 25% profit. So that's basically what happened with GBTC. So now that narrative has kind of faded out. A lot of those Bitcoins have been sold, and it kind of looks like that's slowing down. And at the same time, if you open up Twitter, now there's news that the US government wants to sell $130 million of Bitcoin. And they've just filed whatever they need to file to start that process. So, there's always stuff like this going on. It's one of the reasons that I don't want you, I don't really care I love you guys, but I don't really care what you do because, I'm doing my own thing. But here's what I don't want for you. I don't want you to feel like you are obligated to read the news. I can't say that, I care about what you do with your money because I'm not your advisor or whatever, but I'm your friend, right? And I don't want you to be misled to feel like certain things in the news or certain fundamental factors are more important than they are. But that is exactly what happens when you follow the news, especially as an intellectual, right? A lot of us on this YouTube channel, we're intellectuals, we're people that read and think and contemplate a lot, and that's fantastic. But you've got to put that in the right place. A lot of people with their strong intellectual skills, they kind of apply them in places that don't really work for making you money in the market. And one of them is analyzing things like these fundamental factors, because you're kind of missing one of the big key elements of this, which is that anything you as the intellectual are reading and analyzing is information that they have given you, and so you're kind of like, you can be amazing at deciphering the puzzle, but if you're only getting the puzzle pieces from people that are manipulating things in the first place, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't really matter how smart or how IQ you are, you're still in that box and you're still playing in that world. And that's a really important note to make. No one's really talking about shit like that on this YouTube channel. I'm sorry, on this YouTube platform, even on Twitter, nothing like that. Obviously this is the kind of realism I want to bring to you guys, because it's about kind of focusing our attention on what actually makes money. And for me, it's just looking at these really easy opportunities to get these flips, to get these nice trades that can, support resistance hits, whatever, just actually make some fucking cash off this market. And of course, if that's what you do appreciate, if that's what you do find useful on this YouTube channel, then please do me a favor, smash up those likes, make sure that you are subscribed with the bell icon checked as well, because it does guarantee you get notified of these very time sensitive videos. Also, of course, 4 Flies Gold for more free analysis. And like I said, while you are down there, you've got beautiful bonuses, so feel free to pause the video and get yourself set up with these amazing bonuses. They will go a very long way for you. Deepcoin literally doubling your account balance if you follow those steps, which is absolutely phenomenal. But if we do move back to the market and talk about what that might look like now, again, to me, this is quite a nice big pump. It comes in line with the S&P 500, which is fantastic. It is now consolidating, potentially getting ready for another leg up. None of this price action seems to have anything to do with the dollar, which is interesting. So I'm not really seeing any massively negative signs from traditional finance from that perspective. Not that it seems to have mattered recently either anyway. But we are very clearly now in Bitcoin's challenge zone, and to kind of just shrug that off, I think is unreasonable. I don't think that we are looking at, the kind of sideways narrative playing out right now because of the timing of things like the ETF and, of course, the halving coming up within a few months, showing us that we do currently have a beautiful opportunity for that pullback to come in, and how, just like I said in the last video, we've had a pretty, I don't want to say relentless, because 2022 was relentless, right? This wasn't horrible, but we have had a relatively unforgiving downtrend since we hit the $49,000 level. If you wanted to get out of the market, if you wanted to sell your crypto, you only really had this very small 4.5% pump, or this very small 4.5% pump from here, and now finally something a little bit more substantial to exit if you feel like this market is going lower. And that is very, very important. Within a downtrend, you are going to get breaks, you are going to get reversals, you are going to get continuation, consolidation patterns, and so on. And if you don't get them, that will only strengthen the need for them later on. It's kind of like how, it's actually exactly like how Bitcoin had the relentless downtrend in 2022. And so naturally, the response to that has been a 200% or 3 times return for the market from the low. Okay, if we have extreme movement in one direction, and if we don't correct that in a reasonable amount of time, well, the longer it takes to get that correction, the more extreme that correction is going to be. It's one of the reasons that trading markets like crypto is so profitable, is because if you can position yourself in the right way, it doesn't really matter what direction you're trading. It's going to be so fucking extreme in that direction that you're going to be able to make a lot of money off it anyway. And that works, like I said earlier on in the video, across different time frames, right? We're looking at an incredibly long-term, a massive bear cycle here and a massive bull cycle here, but inside of those, you're going to have the same thing too. And so if this is going to be the beginning of a downtrend that takes us deeper toward the $30,000 level, then this reversal and this recovery back up is the healthiest thing you can do to guarantee that the market will continue to drop lower, because we've now essentially recharged. We've now essentially given the bulls an opportunity to send this market much higher toward that crucial 44K level, and then potentially much higher towards 50K. We've given the bulls that opportunity, and if it does not work, if in the next few days it turns into a rejection and the price dropping down, then it is lights out. That will be a major, major selling warning for all players in the industry that the price had a chance to turn this around. It had a chance to make this nothing but another deviation within Bitcoin's uptrend, and it failed, and that would then take Bitcoin higher. And that is why this is not the time that I'm celebrating or getting happy or anything like that, but instead it is the time where I am getting much tighter, much more cautious, and actually looking for the possibility of the price dropping even lower. Now, if it doesn't, I'm fine. I'm still in my long. I'm still going to make money on the upside. Completely fine, perfect, amazing. One other thing to point out, the Bitcoin dominance chart has started to swing up a little bit more as well. So this is another indication that even though the price of Bitcoin is going higher, we are starting to see some faith being lost in the altcoin market. The altcoin market is starting to show signs that it is getting weaker, even though Bitcoin is moving up. So again, it's almost like when you get a tsunami, the sea kind of retreats, right? The ocean kind of retreats in or out, I should say. And then it really goes, and that's kind of the calm before the storm, I guess you could call it. That we're looking at right here with the Bitcoin dominance chart as well. So I think that is very, very useful. Now, another chart I want to bring to your attention is this Fibonacci retracement. So let me go ahead and bring this on screen as well. This one we are drawing from the low that we've just set to the high that we've just set, which I think puts us at some really, really interesting price levels. We've got the 382 retracement down here sitting at $40,700, which is, of course, as we know now, a critical price level for the chart. And it's just another thing showing us that if you are actually more bullish than me, one of the beautiful things we've been able to do now is get above this area of resistance, which means that we might be able to use it as support. And then rally higher. So this is going to be a line of defense for Bitcoin. If things start getting bad, we're going to have to see how this level is responded to. As long as we hold this level, we're good. If we do not hold this level, if this level ends up failing, then, I don't really need to wait for the price to come down here. I'm already gonna know that, you know, that's it. This was the extent of the recovery, however high it goes. Let's say it goes up here, it doesn't matter. If we lose this price level, that's going to be the sign to me that this wasn't just a deviation. Well, I guess it would be, but this is actually going to continue the market much lower now. You know, that's basically what I would be expecting if we lose the 40,700 level, and I feel even more certain about that, you know, obviously with the Fibonacci that we're seeing right here. Now, it might not be the same depending on when you draw it, and the price has kind of risen up a little bit, but overall point still stands perfectly clearly. You know, this is a very, very important level, so we need to see how the market responds to it. So I think that is definitely going to be important. There isn't a whole lot more I want to go through with you. There is the fractal that I wanted to show you. This is actually taken from a different bit of price action where factors were very similar. Like I said, the Ichimoku, the EMA, the horizontal resistance, so on and so forth. And we have, I mean, you know, just a view of what this might actually look like if you are bullish. Again, you know, for me, I'm looking for path of least resistance, right? I'm looking for like what actually to me makes most sense for the market, given the sentiment, given the way money is pointing already, and having an understanding that most people will lose money in the market, and given that we are approaching a serious zone of resistance from below it, which is the most typical way that we actually find resistance. You know, to me, it's not that I want to be bearish or anything like that. I don't know why people have that impression of me. You know, I'm just trying to keep it real with you guys. I want to make money, right? So I've got to keep it real. Otherwise, I wouldn't be positioning my capital in the right places. You know, and with that in mind, you know, I can't really see the bull case right now. You know, like I want to get behind it and be like, look, this was just a deviation and now we're back in the game, that kind of thing. And you know, I'm not totally closed off to that, but you know, I mean, if we do start falling below 40.7, it's, you know, that's just going to mean that this was, you know, the perfect, you know, halftime break before things got very, very bad. I want to show another chart to you guys of where Bitcoin could have gone and how it actually kind of undershot its area of resistance. It didn't quite get down to its area of support. It didn't quite get down to its area of support. Take a look at this right here. This is the price of Bitcoin and the $38,000 level that we didn't quite reach, you know, which I think is very, very interesting. Now finding some resistance at a daily EMA ribbon, although the daily EMA ribbon is still bullish. So you know, it's a bit of a mixed signal. Clearly the market feels that way right now as well. You know, for me, I'm just kind of looking at you know, what the signs in general are pointing to, and of course, you know, this is going to come as a bit of a shock to some people. I am applying my own nuance, my own bias to the market as well, because shocker, but you know, the only way you can make money in these markets is by having a bias. So there we go, to state the obvious. There we go. I really hope you have enjoyed this one, ladies and gents. Thank you all so much for watching. Please do take advantage of your phenomenal bonuses available to you with the link to Deepcoin in the description down below. These guys are giving you some very, very aggressive bonuses, so they are well worth checking out. This is a no KYC exchange, which makes it a beautiful alternative to Bybit. I think Bybit is a phenomenal exchange. I think it's the best exchange in the game. So if you do want to take advantage of it, then definitely check it out, because you will get up to $30,000 in trading bonuses when you start trading using my link. But of course, if you are looking for something different to Bybit, then there are some phenomenal alternatives linked below as well for you to check out. All right, guys, thank you all very much for watching. You know exactly what to do. Hit up the likes, subscribe, tick the bell, and I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers.